I will be using masking fluid and breaking all the rules, and I have no idea what will happen, but I'm excited to try it out and see. So at the moment you can see me, I'm still drawing in my design. I'm pressing quite heavily because you want to be able to see your pencil mark at every stage of the watercolor pour. You're going to be doing lots of layers of masking fluid, pour paint, masking fluid, pour paint, masking fluid, pour paint, etc. Masking fluid comes with a whole stack of rules, and today I'm going to break all the rules of masking fluid. Masking fluid, when you start to look into the books and tutorials on it, it's all about let it dry, let it dry, let it dry. Well, I wondered what would happen if I didn't let it dry. If you wait for each layer of the masking fluid to dry, then there's long delays between the layers. And if you've got a few hours available to you, it might be way more fun to get it all done in one sitting. And add a lot of water, and then I get this really light tone. Alrighty, I'm not going to wait for the masking fluid to dry. Spray. Maybe the name of this video will be Challenging the Conventions of Watercolor. Right, pour it in the order in which I want it to appear. Oh, it's very blue. But it's a blue-grey, that's okay. Oh, the masking fluid is releasing. That's what I was wondering about, what would happen. So some of the masking fluid would have dried before I sprayed it, and some not. All right. Rule number 1, tested and broken. Rule number 2 is don't put the hairdryer on your masking fluid. So I'm about to challenge that rule with my hairdryer. So the risk in using a hairdryer on masking fluid is that the masking fluid might change its nature and adhere to my page. So I think before wasting any more time, I'm going to see whether or not I can remove the masking fluid. Which spot shall I try? Maybe maybe here. Okay, yep, no problem, it's removed perfectly. All right, that's excellent. Back to the masking process. Here's my adding more detergent. Wipe it off. Okay, I'm ready to do some more masking. So not only have I broken the rule of using heat on masking fluid, I am also going to break the rule of never use your masking fluid on a wet page. So I want to challenge that rule as well. Masking fluid done. I'm going to wash it out straight away. Otherwise this brush will not survive the process. Oh, I forgot to do some flicking. I'll just dry it off and go back to the jar. Really want to do some flicking. It's so easy to go overboard with the flicking part because it's so enjoyable. Ooh, look what the masking fluid is doing on the top of the jar. Floating. Okay, re-dry it. So far, so good. Drying this next layer of masking fluid. The masking fluid was so wet, I didn't want to pour straight onto it because I felt like it would just all float away. So I'm now up to a pink layer. I'm going to take this little dish back again and squeeze out a little more magenta, because I want this one to be pretty pink. And hopefully the masking fluid I just have dried sufficiently that it's going to... I'm going to put more water on the edges over there. I quite like when there's some parts which show the beautiful white of the paper. And I want lots around this bloom here. So, okay. And I don't think the masking fluid is moving. There's little bits there. So I'll try and capture this one. Oh, I've captured most of it. That's cool. And I'm just going to sit here for a minute. Watch the paint flow. Ready for the next layer of masking fluid. Repeat the process. Soap on my brush. Wipe it off. Add another layer of masking fluid. The paper is really soaking wet because I haven't been drying it out properly between layers. I'm just drying it out sufficiently that I can add another layer of paint. It's a thin amount of masking fluid and it's going into really wet paper. We're nearly ready for the final pour. Wash it out straight away. I'm ready for the final layer. The masking fluid is still quite wet. I'm going to resist the urge to dry that masking fluid and just go ahead and prepare some paint. So this is the Viridian that was already in there. I'm going to reactivate that first using my bristle brush. A little bit of a grey tone to it, which I quite like because it's got a little bit of magenta. It's tempting to add a little bit of magenta to it. Wow. It's so beautiful. It's like this. It's like the colour that I began with, actually, the grey green. It looks like a grey blue, in fact. Very interesting. It won't be, however, dark enough. I want this layer to be really dark. And if I get a little test piece, excuse that, that's from this morning's live, YouTube live. You can see it's not very dark. I need it to be dark. And I do like the idea of it being green. Oh, I know what I'll add. Cobalt turquoise. I'm going to squeeze some cobalt turquoise in. It's semi-opaque, but the colour is divine. Mix that one in carefully. Okay. It's a little bit like toothpaste when it comes out, or some people like to say Vegemite. I want it to be thick. I want it to be viscous. Oh, look at that colour. It is glorious. And now if I add that to the pink, it's so going to be purple. So what I'm thinking is I might prepare a little bit of Red or yellow? Oh, some yellow at this point might be completely beautiful. I've got a big tube of permanent yellow lemon, so I like using up supplies. Yellow, lots of paint, lots of water, so it will flow around. Fresh brush to mix it in. That colour requires more mixing than other colours. That's very interesting. Lots of little lumps. And it's really a good idea to get the lumps out now. It's harder to get them out once you've poured it on the page. So I'm just going to take an extra minute. Okay, yellow's ready. So I think I'll be doing 2 colours this time. Let's see how it goes. Spray liberally again. It just feels so weird to be wetting masking fluid in this way. I just never add water to masking fluid, so it's feeling very risky, if that's not too big a leap to suggest that. I'm going to pour it in the opposite direction. Oh, you can see it releasing some of that pink. I wonder if I can... No, I don't think I'll capture it because it will have bits of masking fluid in it. Blue, turquoisey, put some in there, and there. There's a big area here. I'm just going to spray, just spread that out a little. Boy, is the page saturated now. But it's doing some pretty things. I think the yellow was a good idea. I'm just going to tip it in the other direction for a second. Not long. Look at that lovely, those lovely marks. They'll be lost, unfortunately, when I turn it back this way. One of the rules of masking fluid is that you need to wait for it to be bone dry before you pull it off. That is a rule that I'm not going to break. I think it's not worth the risk. I'm going to, what colour is there? Just push some of that colour into there. Just spend a minute seeing if there's any bits I really would have liked the colour to go to that it didn't. Like some in the centre of the flowers. Like the idea that the centre might be, oh no, masking fluid on my beautiful brush, because the masking fluid is wet. Oh no, bloody hell. Oh, look at it. It's attached to my beautiful bristles. Bugger pox. Damn. Oh, whoa. Soap. I love this brush. My brush is sort of okay. Right. I'm going to go and rewash this brush because I love it. And I'm going to sign off for today and be back tomorrow with a dry painting to remove the masking fluid. This is the result of the masking fluid pour, the watercolour pouring over the wet masking fluid. So there's little bits there. I'll just zoom in, or actually I'll hold it up so you can see these little wispy bits in the corner. That was the masking fluid running, but otherwise it's pretty damn good. The masking fluid is removing easily. It's made no difference. None of it is stuck to the page. This is very exciting. Just saved myself so many hours of drying and being so careful all the time. And I don't mind that little wispy bit at all. In fact, I will so be working on ways to make that move about a little more. I'm going to squeeze out some fresh yellow. And I'm going to use my little liner brush, tiny little bit of water. Barely wetting there's a few drips on my brush. Barely wetting the paint, but coating it liberally so that I can put in these little tiny yellow stamen. I quite like that flower. You can see some of my pencil mark is still there, and that was under the masking fluid, but I'm not at all worried that the art muse is with me today. Well, actually it has been for days. I've been having success for days. So need to embrace and enjoy these successful moments, because the moments will pass and I'll move back into those moments of frustration and those moments that you have to push through to come out the other side. Marion. Chapman. Oh, that was just fun. That was absolute fun. I am totally on a roll. Oh, it's stuck. God damn. Okay, if you've made it this far in the video, you are a keen watercolorist. I appreciate you hanging about to listen in on the details of all the equipment that I used. I've got masking fluid, a jar full. This particular brand, I'll just put the lid on gently so I can turn it on the side and show you. This brand is Jackson's, so it's that British art shop that I order from very occasionally, as the postage is ridiculous because I live in Sydney. I've got a brush that I'm using for my masking fluid at the moment, and it's not a brush that I'm in love with because I ruined the handle a little bit. But the tip, however, is awesome. This is a liner brush because I'm going to be painting little tiny white flowers. Pencil so that I can draw the design in, and I suggest that you press heavily when you draw your design because it's got to go through layers and layers of masking fluid and watercolor being poured over it. I've got a number of little soy sauce dishes lined up. That one's got some Viridian in it from earlier, so I'm hoping to use that up. That one's got a little bit of magenta, and throughout the process you would have seen me filling up the little dishes and creating washes that I poured over the painting. So I've got some spares here. Masking fluid will go in one, and a little bit of liquid soap. So liquid soap is the same as hand wash and detergent. It's all very similar, a very similar product, and all I use it for is to protect the brush. So you would have seen me doing that in the video too, coating the brush before painting on the masking fluid. The paper that I used today is called Bao. Forgive me, anyone who knows how to pronounce that Chinese word, and forgive me if it's not Chinese too, but it's probably something very sing-songy like Bao. So my apologies for anyone who knows how to actually pronounce that word. It's 300 GSM, it's rough textured, I think, there it is, rough textured, and it's a quarter size, so a quarter sheet. So that means that rather than buying a full sheet and cutting it down, you can buy these packs, which are, it's close to an A3 in size, but it's literally a quarter of a sheet, so a 56 by 76. For you experienced watercolorists, you'll be familiar with the big sheets. The brushes that I've used are my stock standard one. You can see that in lots of videos, and in fact I did a YouTube live tutorial where I talked very specifically about the brushes that I like to use at the moment. So if you did make it this far in the video, I really am super appreciative that you could watch to the end of this video. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. See you next time for some more watercolor painting, the most exciting medium you can paint in. Bye guys, see ya.